What do you genuinely not understand?
That off vibe you get when you go to an empty parking lot or an IKEA. How that was not a headshot. Game's rigged from the start. How so many fucking terrible commercials make it to TV. When I see a dumb commercial, my thought is always the same: a group of grown-ass people sat around a table somewhere and discussed how they want to promote their brand. They came up with an entire marketing strategy, probably had a vote about it, and sent approval on to the marketing department, company for production. That marketing department created, scripted, filmed, and produced that piece of shit commercial. Then they sent it back to the group of grown-ass people, who sat around the same table watching the shitty commercial before agreeing that it's sending the exact message they want about their brand. They likely then vote again to approve running it on TV. A huge budget is approved for putting that dumbass commercial out there, and the result is the piece of crap I just saw on TV. Yeah, I don't understand that. Or all those potato peelers that are made in any different way from the standard potato peeler that everybody has had since forever? How many engineers spent time designing that and making prototypes that went to QA and had a design review? Standard and certification for food-grade materials were poured over. Collections of mandatory documentation about production and materials were carefully collected and stored. A committee approved it, and it went to production engineers who was tasked to do the tooling, which probably resulted in design changes that went back and got more QA and final go-ahead. Samples was sent out to convention and consumer goods fairs. Salespeople stood in a booth and offered representatives from large retail chains quotes for 100K units over 12 months' time. Deals were struck, contracts signed. Money were put in escrow accounts. Designers made packaging and created logotypes and sent brand names to be stamped in the production facility. Instruction and labels were translated to the local language by technical writers. Logistic people pored over shipping and made sure it had all the correct numbers and barcodes. Retail worked printed labels and stacked the shelves. Not once did anybody take the time to stop and say, "Hey, I actually tried to peel a potato with this and it didn't really work." Like at all. Traffic. You sit on the highway driving 3 miles per hour thinking, must be a wreck ahead, then you get clear of the traffic and there was never any clear reason or cause for the traffic. The process of thought, how we can make so many decisions in a split second. Internal dialogue is crazy. Does everyone have the same sort of inner thoughts? Do animals have internal dialogue? When I think about it, it blows my mind. Oh man, I had a fucking existential crisis recently, when I started thinking about how my thoughts just popped into my head and I actually have no control of what I think. Like I don't decide to think something, I just do. How the fuck do brains even work? Do I even have free will? Am I just a biological machine running calculations based on previous experience? Not to get too crazy, but man, this shit weirds me out whenever I think of it. Some people don't have an internal dialogue but think through visualizing words. There are also probably other ways too. I haven't researched it much, and some people can't visualize stuff. I can't visualize stuff. The lack of visualization is called aphantasia. I was really good at maths at school until year 10 when we hit a topic called numbers and proof. It was about proving that the answer to an equation was definitely right. I don't really know, because I never understood a single thing the teacher said that whole term. Same for me. I was perfectly fine with math up until calculus. And while I got the bits and pieces of calculus, I could not understand the big picture of it. Like if you guide me step by step I could do it, but doing a problem on a test and navigating it myself? None of it made any logical sense to me. It all seemed like arbitrary wacky nonsense to me. And I thought maybe I had a bad teacher or something, but, I had to take calc in college after that, and I did okay, but I think it was just because I had just repeated a course I had in high school. And any attempts to revisit it just made no sense. Edit, a lot of you are trying to explain calculus to me in terms that make calculus maddeningly incomprehensible. You're mostly proving my point. I'm a physics teacher and I'm embarrassed to say that despite reading several explanations, I still don't understand how batteries work. Specifically, if one end of the battery basically houses excess electrons and the positive side has a dearth of electrons, why doesn't connecting two batteries but not in a closed circuit cause half of each battery to drain? Bitcoin, no matter how it's explained to me. When people who are blind since birth talk about that they do not even see black. It's like nothingness. I mean, they also don't know what black is if they've been fully blind since birth. They have no benchmark of black to compare what they see to. Also, how do they even know what seeing is to know that they see nothing? Like there is no way of even explaining to them what seeing is, and we have no way of knowing if they can fathom what seeing is. Quantum mechanics. That shit is whack. I was always great at math. Went to college and am a physics major. Motion of objects? Crush it. Relativity? Really interesting. Quantum mechanics? Okay, sure, so I just do the, wait, so this equation represents the, that's not it. Okay, what about, no, wrong again. I am now a lawyer.